you need. All right, well, hello, welcome to your vinyasa practice. This is my friend Kylie joining us today. So we're going to begin standing on our feet. So bring the feet right underneath the hips, and then the pelvis rests right on top of the feet. And it might feel nice to close the eyes or find a gentle softening of the eyelids. And you'll soon begin to notice the body's natural sway. This is the body looking for its equilibrium. You may notice that the body is never static or still. It's always in a constant flux of motion. And then you'll take your fingertips behind your back and bring the tips of your fingers to the base of your pelvis and the base of your rib cage. You'll begin to draw in a deep breath as you expand the hands wide with the inhale. And as you exhale, the waistband will draw slightly away from the palms of the hands, and the air leaves out of the trunk of the body. So it's an inhale, pulling the breath into the base of the lungs, down through the kidneys, drawing that diaphragm down and back. And the release is the diaphragm lifting up, the kidneys lifting up, and maybe the crown of the head extending towards the sky. The inhale fills up the palms of the hands, widening out through the backside of the body. And the exhale is smooth and fluid as the waistband draws away from the palms of the hands. And as you practice this breath, continue to notice the natural swaying and motion of the body. And then notice how the breath emphasizes that sway from one side to the other, maybe to the front of your feet or to the heels, to the inner arches and the outer arches. Discover it in your own body for about 5 more cycles of breath. Wherever you are in your breath cycle, finish it off. And then let the breath resume its natural inhale and exhale. Bring your hands to your heart center. And just notice how the body is organizing itself. A few moments to draw the attention inward towards the breath, towards that constant flux of motion, brings you to a deeper presence. And here is where we set our intention for our practice. Inhale and exhale. Reach the arms up towards the sky, mountain pose. Forward fold. Lift up the heels, lift up the toes, lift up the inner ouches and the outer edges. All the while keeping attention on that smooth, steady breath. Get solid through the feet and rise up through mountain pose. Open up to back bend, hold in your back bend. Heavy through the tailbone, lift and arc up out through the upper chest. Forward fold. You'll walk the hands away from the feet and the feet away from the hands, arriving in downward facing dog. It's natural for us to want to ease into what feels good for our body right away in this position. So instead of fighting that, allow the breath to expand you into those nice sensations. You'll walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. You'll take the right palm and slide it underneath the right toes. Press down evenly through the whole ball of the foot and lift the left arm up to the sky. Then stabilize through that right leg. You're bringing a little bit of unbalance, unevenness of surface underneath the right leg, and just notice how the body, the outer hip and the inner hip, work to stabilize the lift of the ball of the foot. Very nice. And switch it out. The left hand will come underneath the left ball of the foot. The right arm will extend up to the sky. And you'll take 2 or 3 breaths here to notice that natural sway, the body working to stabilize. Moving slowly allows those slow twitch muscle fibers to bring a bit of stability. Release the hands down. Even pressure and spread through the balls of the feet. Rise up through mountain. Open up through back bend. We'll take that breath to movement. Inhale, mountain pose. Forward fold. Right hand under right ball of the foot. Open arm twist to the left. Stay for a cycle of breath. And then switch it out. Left palm underneath the left ball of the foot. Stabilize with the breath. Come back through center. Rise up with the full inhale, drawing it into the back side of the body. Exhale as your back bend. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Walk the hands away from the feet for a downward facing dog. Lift the hips high. Then lower the right heel down to the earth. Keep it lowered down as you hike the right hip up. You'll keep the right hip hiked up as you press away with the right heel. Now lower the right heel, keeping the right sit bone up towards the sky, staying on the right side. So you'll lift the right heel up and lower it down. Sit bone and heel lift up to the sky. Sit bone and heel lengthen down to the mat. Very nice. One more time. Sit bone and heel lift and lengthen down to lower. Good. Downward facing dog. Balance out between your sides. Take a full breath in and out. The left heel will lift. The left sit bone will reach up towards the sky. Lower the left heel and then lower the left sit bone. Good. 2 more times with your breath. So the 2 points that are lifting are the heel and the sit bone up to the sky. The palms are evenly pressing into the earth, and the spine is still elongated, and the breath is supporting. You'll lower both heels down to the earth, but keep the reaching of the tailbone, reaching of the sit bone. Take a breath in and a breath out. Step the right foot forward to a low lunge. Lift up the right toes, spread wide through the ball of the right foot, then reground through the toes. Rise up to a high crescent. Come back down to a low lunge. Hold here for a moment. Your stability is in the breath. We come back to the sensations we feel and the strength that resides right at our center. Inhale, rise up, high lunge, much better, yes. And then soften the face, soften the shoulders, soften the ribs back down with your breath. You'll hug right hip back and then allow it to retract forward. You'll actively pull that right hip back in space and allow it to fall forward. One more time, draw the right hip back. Maybe it pulls the left hip forward slightly. And then hold where you feel stable on both feet, even through the work of the hips and the legs, grounding down through the feet. Take a full breath in and a softening breath out. Airplane torso, hinge forward at the hips, lift up the back of the shoulders, and the back of the arms, spread the collarbones a little wider. Now are you continuing to breathe as you're building heat through the lower body? And drawing that right hip back as the left hip slightly draws forward. Bring the fingertips to ground down. The back leg lifts up for grounded airplane. Lower the left hip down and hug the outer left hip in. Gentle bend through the right knee. Press down through the foot. Lift the right hip to straighten the leg. 2 more times with the breath. Gentle bend through the right knee. Press through the right heel. Lift the right hip up. And you'll continue 1 more time. So the slower we go, the more integrated our practice becomes. Grounded airplane, take a full breath in and out. The left leg will come behind the right, step it nice and wide to the sides of the mat, the side of the mat. So the ball of the left foot will ground down. You'll find bend in both knees and then flatten out your back as much as you can. Now firmly press through the back ball of the foot and the sole of the right. Take a full breath in and out. You're going to lift that left leg off of the mat slightly from the lift of the inner left thigh. Good, just hold your balance here. Draw that left hip forward slightly, extending that space along the waist. Now lean the right shoulder over to the right hip and the left shoulder will follow. Nice side body stretch, creating an active resistance as you lengthen down through the left leg. Left leg comes to meet the right, forward fold. Left foot steps back to lunge. Right foot comes to meet it, high plank. Downward facing dog. 3 breaths here to fluctuate with your movement. Compare and contrast both sides. The left leg will step forward to a lunge. You'll hold here and rise up to a high crescent. Lower down to a low lunge. And with breath, inhale floats you up to a high crescent. The left hip hugs back, drawing the right hip slightly forward. The left hip retracts back forward as the right hip sways back. 2 more times with the breath. Nice, Kaylee. You'll hold in your high crescent, take a breath in. Airplane torso, lunge. The toes of the front foot lift off the mat. And visualize the heel of the front foot lifting off the mat. Rounded airplane, bring the fingertips to the earth. Keep the sole rooted down. The right leg lifts up. Slight bend through the left knee. And a lift of the inner right thigh. Straighten through the left heel, lifting the left sit bone up. And lower back down. 2 more times with breath. Lifting the outer left hip up, grounding through the heel. And lower down. Nice. Are you feeling the stabilizer muscles working?
Yeah, a lot.
Nice. Very good. Then you'll bend the left knee slightly. You'll take the right leg across, bring the ball of the right foot wide to the side of the mat. Find an elongated spine. And then you'll lift the right inner thigh up towards the sky. Pause for a moment. Draw the left shoulder down to the left hip and allow for that right shoulder to follow suit. Now as you stabilize through the inner left thigh, your right side body is extending up and out of the pelvis for 2 breaths. The right foot will come to meet the left after your 2 cycles for a forward fold. The right leg will extend back to a low lunge. The left leg will come to meet it. A wave-like motion through the spine, initiating from the heels. The calves will lift up, back of the knees, thighs. Good round through the upper back, bring it to the mid-back and come into your high plank. So rounding begins through the heels and extends out through the crown of the head. And then you'll reverse that wave-like motion as you tuck the chin into the chest. Lift up through the upper collarbones, then through the back of the heart, the base of the rib cage, wide through the hips, and then the heels follow. With your breath, moving like a wave up to a high plank. And then back to a downward facing dog. Now, are you breathing? Keeping that tension at bay with the breath. And then on this next round, you're going to hold your high plank for a moment. Finding that wave-like motion beautiful. The right leg will extend up. The right inner thigh will draw across the left leg, moving from the inner thigh. Then you'll extend it out wide to the sides of the mat. So as if you're going to come to kick me from the sides of the mat, right there, pause, and then draw it back behind the left leg. Now the focus and the effort is the outer left hip, drawing that leg nice and wide. And you're stabilizing through the upper shoulders and pulling that energy up through the arms. So when they begin to fatigue, you have that extra added support of that left ball of the foot grounding in. So the lower body facilitates as well as the upper body. We'll hold the leg out nice and wide. Now just visualize that leg moving closer towards the right fingertips. Maybe it'll go. Nice, Kylie. Right leg comes back to center, downward facing dog. That's a lot of strong core integration. Right leg lifts up high, 3-legged dog. Bring that right hip down, balance out through the hips. Clean step through to a low lunge. Rise to a high crescent. Airplane torso, airplane arms. High crescent with the breath. Airplane torso, airplane arms. Pause. Back of the arms lift, shoulders nice and wide. Good. Now pick the head up, pick the heart up. Airplane. Press into that right foot, launch yourself up into your airplane and hold for a moment. Bring a slight bend through the right knee. And 3 breaths here. Those supportive muscles create that stability to hold and maintain your balance. The left leg will step back to lunge. Slow and steady, rise up to a high crescent. Open up to a warrior one. The back edge of the foot will ground down. The right hip will draw back slightly. Right femur bone draws back as the left femur bone draws forward. Feeling into the heel of the left foot, open arm twist around to the right hand side. So you can pop up on that back heel if you'd like. You can stay grounded through the heel. So it's just going to change the sensations occurring through the inner line of the left leg. Now the breath is steady and supportive. Come back to a high crescent from your warrior one or your twisted high lunge, low lunge, grounded airplane, single leg Tadasana. You got it. Grounded airplane, yep. Left leg lowers down. So fingertips will stay grounded on the earth. Left leg lifts for grounded airplane. Good. Now lower the left sit bone down. Good. Stabilize on that right foot. Bring the left foot to meet the right, forward fold. Rise up, mountain pose. Sit back into your chair. Widen out through the hips and through the low back. Visualize your hands right at the base of the pelvis and the base of the ribs. Fill that back side of the body up, giving some freedom and liberation to the back of your spine. Forward fold is your release. The hands will plant, the feet will step back to a high plank. You'll hold your high plank. The left leg will lift up. Lower the left leg down, the right leg will lift. Hold the right leg up and pause, and then you'll alternate. The left heel will lift and lower down. Now as the heel lifts, the sit bone also reaches up to the sky. So the whole of the back leg stays engaged. You'll wave yourself back into a downward facing dog for a cycle of breath in and out. Left leg reaches high. Step forward to a low lunge. Rise up to a high crescent. Airplane torso, airplane arms. Now reach further back with that left shoulder. Widen out through the collarbones and stay with the breath. Left hip pulls back, right hip reaches forward. Full airplane, 3 breaths. Revolve the right inner thigh up to the sky. Low lunge is your release. Grounded airplane, right leg lifts. The head of the right femur bone pointed down to the mat. Find the left inner thigh and lift up through the outer left hip. Forward fold, the left leg meets the right. Rise up through mountain pose. Sit the hips low for chair. Forward fold. Plant the hands, step the feet back to a high plank. Build that stability across the top of the shoulders, across the top of the chest. The left leg will extend up to the sky. Then you'll bring it out wide to the sides of the mat and cross it behind the right leg. Take it out nice and wide with the emphasis being on that outer hip. And then the drawing in of the inner thigh across the midline of the body. You're probably about even there. We're going to extend that leg up. You'll hold. Think about shortening the distance between that left hip and the left rib cage. High plank, downward facing dog. Hands come to meet the feet at the back of your space. Gorilla pose. You'll slide both hands underneath the balls of the feet. Spread the balls of the feet nice and wide in 3 breaths. Direct that breath to base of rib cage, top of pelvis. Massage out the adrenals that sit on top of the kidneys with each cycle of breath you pull in and you release out. Release the hands, walk them forward to a high plank. Draw yourself back into a downward facing dog. The right leg lifts. Step the right leg forward to low lunge. Rise up to high crescent. Airplane torso, airplane arms. Armpits reach to the hips. Airplane. Continuous breath. Step back to a high crescent. Grounded airplane. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Chair pose. Forward fold. Hands plant, feet step back, high plank. Downward facing dog. The left leg will extend up. Step forward to a low lunge. Rise up to a high crescent and pause for a moment in your high crescent. We need to balance the sides of our body out. So we'll come to a warrior 1. The right heel will either ground or you'll stay up on the ball of your right foot. Open arm twist over the left shoulder. The reaching back of that left hand will help draw the right femur head forward and down. Come back through a high crescent. Airplane torso, airplane arms. Full airplane. Nice even balance with the hips. Step back to a low lunge. Nice, Kylie. Slow and steady. If my cueing is a little too fast, take it at your own pace. Grounded airplane. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Chair pose. So less tension in the neck. And you'll hold in your chair. Coming back to that amplified breath. And just notice how you can be a little more comfortable in this shape you're holding. What micro adjustments might you need to make? Forward fold. Hands plant, feet step back to a high plank. Pick the right hand up, draw the right elbow up to the sky, and then lower down. Then with the left elbow will lift and lower down. Notice how the legs want to get involved. Keep that engagement of the legs as the right elbow lifts and the right elbow lowers down. Good. So we're shifting the load of our weight from 4 points of contact to 3. Lots of organization of those smaller muscle fibers need to fire up. Downward facing dog with a full breath in and out. Feet meet your hands, top of your mat. Rise up through mountain pose. Bring the hands to heart space. Revisit your intention. Arms reach up to the sky. The left hand's going to fall down by the left hip. You're reaching up with your right fingertips. The left knee is going to lift to a single leg Tadasana. Hold in your single leg Tadasana. Uneven airplane. The left leg will come back. Just the right arm will extend forward for 3 breaths. Your transition after your 3rd breath is into a warrior 1. Open up to a warrior 2. Reverse your warrior, hold. Lift the heel of your right foot and lower down. The heel lifts from the lightness of the knee and the engagement of the whole thigh. I should have asked if I could touch you prior.
Oh, that's fine.
Good. Lift the heel up. Deepen this crease here. Reach long from the side body. Very nice. Keep the heel lifted up. Lower the heel down. Come to a warrior 2. Rise up through star. Outer edges press down. Move the thighs. Move the hips. Bring them underneath the shoulders. Feel the head stacking right above the hips. Lift onto the balls of the feet and lower. Lift and lower. So we're moving strongly through our calves and our soleus in this practice. They're some of the closest muscles to our feet. They also help the circulation back of the blood to the heart. We'll hold the heels up, very unsteady with our balance, but 3 breaths here. Feeling the breath provide the stability. The heels will slowly lower down. Warrior 2 to the front of your space. Reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Triangle pose, straighten through the right leg. Pop up on the right ball of the foot, lifting the right heel. And what micro adjustments do you need to make here to find a bit of balance? So these small little adjustments of just lifting the heel will help to build the cortical maps in the mind as our motor cortex begins to activate and send off new connections from nerve to muscle tissue. Lower the right heel down, extended side angle. Reverse warrior. Low lunge. High crescent. Strong long series. Airplane torso lunge. Full airplane. Low lunge. Grounded airplane. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Chair pose. So how can you get 10% more comfortable holding this shape? Release, forward fold down. Plant the hands, step the feet back, high plank. Left elbow lifts, left elbow lowers. 3 to each side. And we'll rest back in downward facing dog. A full breath in and out. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Bring the hands underneath the balls of the feet for gorilla pose. Notice if you have more awareness, if the ball of the foot's able to spread a little wider. We're going to need as much surface area as possible to help us through our transitions, through our more challenging shapes. Release the hands down, walk the hands forward. From a high plank, we'll press back into downward facing dog. Feet meet your hands at the top of your space. Rise up through mountain pose. Bring your hands to heart center. Center back on your intention. Mountain pose. The left arm will fall down, the right arm will fall down by your side, the left arm stays reaching. Airplane, the right leg will move back as the left arm extends forward. Nice. Your release is warrior one. Beautiful. Open up to warrior two. Lift the front heel and lower it down. There we go. Inhale. Kylie's easy on the eyes to watch, so whatever you're doing, you could be focusing on her or the movement, one of the two.
There you go.
And we'll find one more breath. So the knee lifts the heel resists gravity, lowers back down. Good. Warrior two, reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Triangle pose, straighten through the front leg. Lift the front heel up and lower it down. So those cortical maps are going to turn on, but it might take a little bit of time to get this movement coordinated if we've never done it before. Then lift that left heel up. Notice the calf working really strong, the soleus up into the glute maybe. The heel lowers down. Bend deeply through the left knee, rise up to reverse warrior. Crescent. Airplane torso. Full airplane. Low lunge. Grounded airplane. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Chair pose. Three breaths. Release. Forward fold. Feet step back. Come all the way down onto your belly. Sphinx pose. Fingertips underneath the collarbones. Elbows draw back. Top of the feet ground in. Lower the forehead down to the earth. Then inhale, peel the chest off the mat. Hold for a moment. You'll extend the right arm forward as if you're reaching for something. Draw the right hand back, slide it back, place it gently back underneath. And then extend the left arm out. Draw it back, bring it back to its placement underneath the left shoulder. You'll do that 2 more times on each side. And then visualize what it is you're reaching towards. And maybe that simple visualization will help you find more elongation from the hips and the waistband. So that reach comes from the heel of the right foot and then the heel of the left foot through the palm. Much more integrated. Good. Hold here. Draw the arm bones wide and back. Release yourself back. Curl the toes under, strong high plank. Lower the knees down wide to the sides of the mat. Press yourself back into child's pose. Come forward to a tabletop quadruped. The right arm extends up to the sky. Thread the needle. Right cheek comes down, left cheek follows. So now we begin to wind down. Extend the left arm up skyward. Bring it to the low back. Feel out your hips. Direct the breath between the base of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. Continue to massage those adrenals. Release the left hand. Press into the left hand, unwind the right, give it a nice circle. And then we'll switch out sides. The left arm will extend up. Now the right arm comes to the low back. And feel the breath expanding into that hand, directing the breath down to the lower back and into the hips. The right arm will release, the left arm will follow, finding that circle on that left side. And the toes will curl under, the knees will hover. The hips will begin to lift up as the feet walk to the hands at the top of your mat. Slight bend in the knees, rise up to mountain pose. The hands come to heart. Fingers to the low back. We'll take 5 breaths here. Just to notice the shift, maybe the space and the width that you've created in the body, in the breath. And the natural sway of this continuous fluctuations of motion. We'll bring the hands to heart space when you're done with the 5 cycles of breath to reaffirm our intention. Forward fold. Hips lower down to the heels. Slowly lower yourself all the way down onto the mat. Bend the knees into the chest. Cross the right leg over the left. We'll come into supine cow face. So the right thigh is crossed over the left thigh. You can either grab the shins or you can grab the top fleshy part of the thighs, and then drawing the knees into the chest. But as you draw the knees into the chest, the tendency is for that sacrum to roll down and back. We want to keep that space across the front of the hips, so roll the weight forward and down, and then continue to draw the knees to the chest. Keeping the legs as is. You'll bring them over to the left-hand side of your mat. The right arm will reach either to the side or closer up to the ear. You'll come back through center. Uncross the legs, switch the left leg on top. Draw in and soften and roll the tailbone forward and down. You'll lower the knees to the right-hand side. Extend the left arm out nice and wide, either up closer to the ear or wide to the shoulder. You feel out what works in your body. You'll come back through center. Both knees will hug into the chest. If there's any other shape that you wish to take before making your way into your final Shavasana, please do so. Final Shavasana is where I'll leave you. Take as much time as you can in this position of rest and renewal. It's a chance for the body and the mind to organize itself, to reevaluate and readjust. With light love, gratitude, and grace, namaste.